I've been running a continuous West Marches game since October of 2018, and I've messed up a lot. I want to give you some of the tools that I've developed to combat the biggest challenges that I've come across as a DM. Not in a way to tell you what to do, but rather to let you know that they exist. Ultimately, you are the architect of your own campaign, and only you can decide how best to make it work. So without further ado, part 1. Not enough time. With only so many hours in a day, and less so to play D&D due to work, school, or whatever, you will feel that there's not enough time. In a normal game, this is fine, because when a session ends, pick up the next one where you left off. In the West Marches, this is not the case. Every session is a one-shot. Because of this, you and your players will feel like you are not using your time correctly. That there is an optimal thing that you could be getting out of the game, but you're not. There are always more monsters to kill, always more places to discover, always more loot. You will feel that if you are not gaining the most XP and gold, then what is the point? You don't have time to roleplay with NPCs, and certainly not with other parties. This is due to the reward structure of Dungeons & Dragons. Players get rewarded for fighting and killing monsters, so it is logical that this is what they want to do. In order to allow your players to slow down and smell the roleplay, you need to change what they get rewarded for. Below, I have 4 methods you can try with your group, though I have only tried 2 of them, those being Checklist and Monty Hall. The 4 solutions I've come up with I call Checklist, Monty Hall, Static Reward, and Stress-Based Leveling. The first thing I tried was make a checklist of things. Some that happen every session, some that happen adventure specific, and some that would be region specific. Examples include have a scene with someone discussing your past, have a scene with someone discussing their future, save someone from peril, find something new, rid the world of an enemy, solve a problem with cunning, solve a problem with strength, solve a problem with X. Adventure specific ones might be stop the cultists' ritual, eat the rotten food offered by the Etten, find the old king's crown. Lastly, I would write down knowledge that could be discovered. This solution works because players have clear ways to get XP that explicitly encourage roleplay and exploration, especially when you use adventure-specific XP triggers, as the players will try their hardest to find them. A downside of this is that it incentivizes the players to leave no rock unturned, because it may have XP under it. As a DM, you know what madness this will lead to. Every person you forgot to name, every door that leads nowhere, every minor detail that you just threw into your description will be scrutinized until it either spits out XP or damage. The second solution I came up with, and the one that I currently use, is the Monty Hall. Basically, everything gets rewarded. Gold and XP for killing monsters, unique magic items for exploring, inspiration for role-playing with other players. No matter how they use their time, they will get something. This doesn't solve every problem, however. Despite getting rewards, players will still feel like there is a maximum amount that they could be getting, but aren't. The Monty Hall doesn't get rid of the pressure you will feel, but it will ease it significantly. In order to ease the pressure a little more, I also have players go over the things they learned that session and the cool stuff they did. Bull rush the boss off a cliff, XP. Give a good one-liner, XP. Do something incredibly creative, XP. It helps reinforce what happened that session so they commit it to memory, and it lets them choose what they get rewarded for. I'd also like to let you know that I give out gold as half of the XP earned that session. Meaning I give XP and then cut it in half, and that's how much gold they also get. Normally, I'm a very stingy DM when it comes to treasure, and I didn't want that to be the case for the West Marches. I used to assign gold values to the missions that they took, but found that they were small pittances compared to the amount of work the players actually did. I currently give out too much gold, but I don't have plans to change what I'm doing. It's also important to note that all players that are at the session get the same amount of XP. I used to give out extra XP for the one-liners and for the other stuff, the specific things, but I found that keeping track of that was unnecessary and difficult, and I could have been using my brain power for other things, so I stopped doing that. For this one, at the end of each session, you give out XP and gold to the players. Each player gets XP and gold proportionate to their level, though how much is up to you. The advantage of this is that no matter what they do, they will be rewarded at the end of the session. This gets rid of the pressure that you'll feel to get things done, allowing you to move at a slower pace without feeling like you're wasting time. The downside of this is that it is boring and frustrating and doesn't incentivize anything. They can drink in a tavern all session, which can be fun for a time, but after a few sessions of this, everyone will start to hate it. That's not to say that this method won't work, just that it hasn't worked for me. Because my goal is to add tools to your toolbox, I felt it was worth mentioning. Lastly is this untested. I came up with it for a project I'm working on and thought it might work here. Keyword might. Stress-based leveling is all about failure. You learn from your mistakes and your shortcomings. Basically, you miss an attack, fail a save, or go too low in HP, you get 1 experience point. When you get 10 plus your level, you level up then and there. For the project I'm working on, I limit each XP trigger to activate only once per session, but in a West Marches game, I think it makes more sense to let them gain XP every time it triggers. The XP triggers are as follows. You miss an attack. You were brought down to half health. You were brought down to single digits. An enemy you force to make a saving throw passes. You fail a saving throw. You take 15 or more damage from a single attack. You roll a fail during a skill challenge. A scene with another PC goes badly. Thank you for listening to my rant. I'm going to post a link down below to this document. And if you have problems with West Marches that you don't know how to solve, feel free to ask me and I will consider making a video for it if I think I have something insightful to say. Otherwise, I'll just tell you I don't have anything insightful to say.